I'm just thinking I probably could make an analogy. Instead of being Batman, I'm Bee-Man, because I've just had a call on the bee phone to come and rescue some ladies from a hole in the ground. So, oh my lord, you're going to come along and see whether we can do anything with this mess. I'm officially feeling tired just thinking about this. Man, they're pretty hectic. What do you reckon? We'll call them hobbit bees? They're not nasty little holes in the ground, I don't think, isn't it? Or something like that. How does that go in the Hobbit movie? The little hobbit hole? I wonder if they could make phone calls. At the minute, they'd be ringing up the neighbours going, help, help, we're about to be evicted. Well, maybe they're about to be saved, because the owners of this property want to pull this fence out, or pull this bushes out and put a fence here. And he figures the contractors might have a bit of trouble putting up a fence with a beehive in the middle of it. So, hey, Bush Bee Man to the rescue. I'm thinking we're just going to lift the lid a little bit just to have a bit of a look at what we're dealing with. I mean, hell, if it's 20 foot deep, I'm not jumping down there with a whole heap of bees. Talking about bees and riddles and rhymes of old days, I was reading this flippin' story about a bloke who was out in the forest and he was wandering along and he was looking for some honey and he climbed down the side of a bank and he ended up falling into the honey hive, and so the only way he could get out was to eat his way out of the honey. And so he was eating and eating and eating in there. Apparently he was in there for a couple of days until eventually a bear wandered down into the hole with him and started helping him eat the honey. Now that would give you a bit of a fright, I reckon, if you were in a honey hole with a bear and you. What happens when he runs out of honey to eat? Does he eat you? But apparently they both got out of the hole and survived, so, you know, never know, there's honey and stuff going everywhere. And if you're wondering why the hell I'm researching rhymes and riddles, we're starting a new show called True Rhyme, so click on the link down below and check that shit out. I think I'm going to start this up and then I'm going to put my suit on, because I don't think I want to lift that lid in my nakedness, because that could be awkward. I think it could be a bit of a problem. They're way more hectic than I anticipated. They're bringing in heaps of pollen, so they might be worth rescuing yet. I'm thinking if it's successful and they happen to make it through and we start a little bloodline from them, we'll have to make little waistcoats for their bee boxes so we know that they're the hobbit bees. The lad just was wondering whether they'd have hairy feet. At the moment they've got feet full of pollen, so I guess that's kind of a hobbit pollen. Rightio, let's see what we can get involved here. It might be quite interesting when we get in here. I'm hoping that they're going to be hanging from the lid, but we'll find out. Hello, they got some ants as neighbours as well. Now I have to admit that that's something that always fascinates me, is how the bees are able to defend themselves against the ants, because of course the honey that the bees are making the ants find very adorable, but somehow or other the bees are very defensive, and unless they get weak the ants don't take them over. So it's quite fascinating, because there's a big ant's nest living basically right next door to the bees, so the bees must be very effective at keeping them at bay. Mother Nature's in harmony normally until us humans turn up. Then it all goes bloody pear-shaped from there. Well, that's a heavy lid. I reckon it might be from this end we lift it up. The bloody Telstra boys would have had fun here if they were trying to get a new cable in this box, wouldn't they? How the hell are we going to do this, mad fella, me lad? I've got them coming out this hole now. Ugh. Help, here they come. Oh, it's everywhere. It is hanging from the roof, which is good. Ugh. Man, that's heavy. Uh-oh, some of it's hanging from the roof anyway. I think we've definitely upset the establishment. There's like, what the hell? The nest is bigger than the box that I've actually brought along. So what I'm going to get the lad to do is help me lift the lid up, and we're going to put it across there and we're going to tip it up on its edge a little bit so we can see where the brood is, hopefully, or where the honey is, that we don't make too much of a mess, and then we're going to lower it onto this. Or we might sit it up on its edge and slide the honeycomb off. I don't know, I haven't decided yet until I pick it up, so who knows? We'll find out in a minute. It could be a catastrophe, but I want to save these hobbit bees. Right, and then we're just going to sit it up. Holy shit, have a look at what's in there. We're so screwed. Right, on the track, on the driveway. Because I reckon that's all honey. Oh shit. I think this is their honey stores by the look of it. So we're just going to let them chill out for a minute. I might just poke around this at this end and see if there's any brood, but I can't see any. So I'm thinking she must be on the other side, I hope. There's a lot of bees in this box. Doesn't look like there's any brood this end. It's all just honey stores, so I think we should be right. So what we're going to do now is I reckon we're going to get excited and we're going to lift the other lid off and maybe put it next door to this lid. We'll do what we just did then and put that lid back on here as well, because if the queen that we want to catch is in that mob, we want to get her in this pot at least, so we can get her away from the honey. I'm not really sure whether this is going to be called Telstra bloody honey. What's going to happen? But they've definitely been here for a couple of days. Definitely upsetting everybody. I'm going to put a bit of smoke underneath them, so hopefully the queen won't run all the way down to the bottom and get it lost in the dirt. And then we'll just work our way across, shake the girls into the pot. Hopefully we catch the boss. That's some seriously red honey. We didn't remember the bucket as usual. We forget everything when we do this. The first one for the year, it's always a bit of a guessing, finding out where the heck you left everything since last season. Oh man, there's 2 lots of brood down here. Where would she be, I wonder? Right, now that bit there we want to keep. That sheet's going down there, through there. Oh golly. See all the young larvae she's got laid up there? Nobody knows the troubles we see. Nobody knows but 40,000 people and me. Sort of seeing whether there's any badness on that brood, so it doesn't seem to be at this stage. So that's a good start. Be happy with that idea. What we really need is someone that's in charge down here. And that she could be anywhere. And just right now, she probably doesn't want us to find her. But she doesn't realise if we don't find her, the whole point of the exercise is going to be a waste of time. But, oh well, it's the price of progress, isn't it? When you want a fence built, bees are the least of your problems. Well, in this case, they're the most of your problems. And since we're on the edge, I'm going to try and cut down here and see if I can take a panel. And I'm going to hope that she's hiding herself in the middle of a brood nest, but I doubt that very much. But anyway, I'm going to have a go. I'm just sort of seeing if I can find the boss. I found a lot of boys. Didn't find the boss lady. Oh, there she is. Maybe, I think. Is that you? Ah, crap. No! Oh, damn it to hell. Oh well. Anyway. We don't want the honey in with these girls because that'll just drown everybody. So we want to put that separately. We'll feed the honey, we'll feed their honey back to them once we get it organised, but you don't want to put the honey in the actual box that you're trying to rescue, otherwise it just ends up a big sticky mess. Oh, yuck. Now, if you're ever rescuing bees from a hobbit hole, bring a bucket of water, because it's a very messy job. Let's see if we can get a big lump off of here. There's another one of these concretey things just here. And they're sort of all hooked to it a bit. This is why a lot of times nobody wants to rescue bees when they're in this situation. I reckon regardless it's worth a try to save them. Because it's a pity to lose a swarm or a nest. I'm going to go with seeing if I can lift up this big piece and put it in here, but we're going to find out in a minute. Yeah. Crap, I don't want to put too much honey in there. I just wanted to catch her, but I don't know where she is. This is the part where you hope you haven't got her lost in the honey, because that's really messy. I have seen the girls do a pretty good job of cleaning up the queen when she's covered in honey, but it's totally not an ideal situation. Now, young John, did we bring the rubber bands? Because that's a very good question that needs to be answered at the minute. There's some beautiful young eggs on here, or larvae, and So if all else fails, they can raise a new queen themselves. But I'd rather catch her because that's, you know, it's probably slightly early for them to be breeding, but being that there's drones in here, it's probably all good. I'm just wondering whether we should get the box and perhaps shake some of the bees that are not going to be covered in muck into something that's not quite so sticky, because I didn't mean to drop all that honey in this pot, but it's kind of got itself in there. Well, there's plenty of ladies wanting to keep their babies alive, which is good. Sorry, I'm just trying to see if I can see the boss woman, and that's always a fun game. She knows she's important, so she's hiding from us. A whole heap of drone cone. You don't really need all of that. But we'll stick it in here for a minute. Hey, what are you doing in here? You're trying to bloody make a living, that's what you're doing, I know. You're like everything else on the planet, you're just trying to do your bit. Make your way through the world and survive. Now, I know you don't believe me just at this particular moment in time, but I'm actually trying to help you out, even though it just totally does not look like that just right now. I don't know. It looks like it's it's got dirt on the bottom of this thing too. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, I knew you were going to get me eventually. With my little short gloves on. So I'm thinking we're going to hook the brood to the frames, and I'm going to sit the actual box in the Telstra hole, and hopefully if she's still in the hole, she'll run up onto the frames and make a new home with all her girlfriends. Either that or she's in one of this messy pile of honey mess that I've got here. So we're going to have to go through that and shake the ladies into the box in a minute as well. But one thing at a time. I'm thinking I've got this mass of bees that are sort of, she's either in this pile or she's running up that wall over here. So I don't really want to shake them into this sticky mess. So I might bring my bee box over and I'm going to shake that lot on top of the frames, and then we'll work out what mess we are into after that. Ugh. God. Bring a bucket of water. We should have got the rubber bands out too before I got covered in crap too, shouldn't we? If we've even got some rubber bands with us, hopefully we have. This changing vehicles, you never know where anything's going to end up. Right, chicks. If we're lucky, this could be your new home. I think she might even be up the top there, but they're not really going to her enough, so. Mind you, just right now we've got a little bit of chaos going on here. It's just hard to tell where she's actually at, but I think she's still in this hole. I don't know for sure. I'm thinking I'm going to put the box in there without the base on it, put the brood on the frames, and then I'm going to let them run up themselves, because they're all up the wall here and everywhere and all over the shop. And if you try to sweep them up or vacuum them up, you normally do them an awful damage. So, we're going to give that a go. What the hell? We can't make much more mess than we already have, can we? Yeah. A bit more stuff there, is there? The next thing we have to do is find out if I actually put the rubber bands in the pot. That'll be the next excitement. I don't think they're in the back. Oh. They picked the packet up, unless I've left it in the truck. That's a very real possibility.
Hello?
Hey George.
What can I do for you?
Oh, we haven't got any rubber bands for this stupid project that we're working on at the minute.
Oh, okay, so you want me to get you some on my way home?
Yeah, if you could.
No worries, it won't be long, I'll get them for you.
Thanks, honey.
No worries, bye.
Yeah, bye.
Well done, Dad.
Oh, well, I can't do everything right. We don't want to put this honey in the box anyway, so what I want to do is I want to actually get the bees off the honeycomb, which is all full of honey, obviously, hence it's called honeycomb. And I want to get the honeycomb in this tub, and so we can actually get the bees separated from that. At the moment they're all over everything over here at the minute, and then we can go home and we can actually we can extract that honey and give it back to them. If you're silly enough to be a bee rescuer, just don't put all this sticky mess in with the girls, because you think you're doing the right thing, but you're really just going to drown them. So you just got to keep that separate, otherwise you'll have a hell of a mess. Once the honey actually escapes from its nice little capsules, it's very hard for the girls to figure out what to do with it, and they got to try and clean themselves up. So as you can see here, they'll get stuck in it. We're actually having a feed here, but you get too much of it in the box and they all get stuck to the bottom of the box, and then the whole salvation thing is almost to shit, really. So at the minute I'm just trying to shake as many bees into the new place where I want them to live, and we can just tidy this up, because obviously we've got to put this all back together when we're finished. I don't think they realised just how much danger they actually were in. Oh, mother. It might work, I don't know, we'll find out in a minute. That bit there, we don't really want too much of that because that's male stuff. So I'm just going to shake them bees off of there, but I don't think we really want that because that's really just going to create a whole lot of work that I don't really need. Just double checking that there's nobody important on there. We'll pop that over there for a minute. What we're really looking for is this little bit of stuff. There's some young larvae here that's not capped. This particular one is going to end up towards the middle because that'll be where it would have been originally. If you're ever silly enough to try and rescue a bee box out of a hole in the ground, you want to actually put the young larvae towards the middle of the whole pack so as that they're easier to keep warm. Wow. Come on, that hurts. She got me good. I guess that's what happens when you don't have your long gloves on. Stop it, that is stinging. What is going on with that? Ow. That is not friendly at all. Look at that, what a good woman. I just said, can you grab me some rubber bands about the right size to hold the honeycomb on the frame? And that was pretty broad description, I reckon. And she's done very well. Look at that, that's perfect. I tell you what, they're better than the ones that I had anyway beforehand. It's all just a little bit Rhapsody's rule, but it's gonna work. So we're gonna want to put that one there, and then I want to put the bit more established comb or brood on the outside, and then hopefully they can just all congregate in there and keep everybody nice and toasty. But we'll see. Sometimes I have plans and they don't necessarily always work quite the way I want. If you've been watching this show for more than 10 minutes, you know we make shit up as we go pretty much. I think we're a bit better than the first time we ever did this. When we had our bit of fishing wire and crap, whatever it was. Remember that? Fishing line and trying to tie the shit together. So we've come a long way in the bee rescue business. See, the ladies are already trying to establish some new, they all get together and they start making some new frame, new wax. So how cool's that? I guess they've come back and they're not sure what to do with all their loads, so they had to build something to put it in. It's going to give them a bit of smoke to push them back down into the hole. All the little heads are all on the shelf, it's kind of cool. They're all sitting there like... Okay, girls. I'm just going to push these girls out the way a little bit because I don't want to crush them with the box. It's just a little pipe that runs along here, and I'm going to sit the box on that. And I'm going to sit it on my fancy twig that I went and found. And then hopefully everybody can run up into the box. But, no. I might be dreaming. Fucking hell, that's easier said than done. Well, my plan is that we can chase them into the box rather than trying to pick them up or whatever, because normally when you play with them too much, you hurt them, and that's not good. I figured if I do it this way, and I've got their brood in there that they're chasing, and they've got all the field bees coming back, and they're used to orientating to this spot anyway, and then if we're really lucky, they'll all get in there together. I think I'll put the lid on the box across to here, so as then they feel like it's in the dark, because they like being in the dark, and then we might be able to just chase these girls across to it. There's a nice pile of bees around the side of the box here. And then I'm going to get something to... I'll just go and find another stick. If you're wondering, the go is the bees like to be in the dark. I'm hoping that that'll give them a bit of encouragement. They're used to coming back here. As you would have seen at the start, there was a little hole where they were flying into, so we're not too far. That's why they're congregating on this little bit. But my plan is that they'll be in the darkness, they'll find their brood, they'll all run in there together, and then tomorrow or tonight, depending on how we all get on, we'll come back and we'll put them together. We'll get ourselves that honey out of that there and feed it back to them, and hopefully we'll have some success. So here we are, back in our hole, back in our bees in the hole. We just thought we'd check them out. I reckon we're just going to see how they're going on. They look like they're going in the lid pretty hectically, but I just wanted to have a look as to what's going on, as to whether the queen is in the box or whether she's still hanging underneath the lid. So we might just lift that lid up there and have a bit of a look and see what's going on. That's a bit heavy. I think I might put my suit on and see if I can't lift it up and shake him on the top of that box. We'll see what happens. Don't! I know! Oh! Okay, and then you just sit it on the box, it'll be right.
It won't be, so just, yeah.
Right, cool. And then we just... That's right.
No.
So I reckon what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to get my bit of plastic and I'm just going to scoop some more of the ladies that are actually in the hole here still. I'm hoping that the boss woman was in that little pack or is already in there. I can see they're dangling off the box pretty well, so it's looking pretty promising. So the executive decision is that we're going to lift the box back up out of here because we haven't got a base on it, if you remember. And we're going to sit it on this little opening, and then maybe, I'm not really 100% sure, but we might sit there opening at the edge of where they're congregating, so hopefully we'll be able to scoop up whoever's left over. But I reckon she was hanging in that lid because that looks much more promising on the top now. What's underneath? What's underneath there? Heaps. Don't do that. We'll just put our lid on here. Don't try this without a bee suit. Now let's just see whether they decide to think that's a good idea. Well, it looks to me as if they're running towards the box, so that's a good sign. So that's the next stage. We'll just give them a little bit of time and come back here when the sun's set and pick them up. Here we go, sunrise yet again, another day of madness. I've just warmed up some water for this project of feeding my bees. Just come over here and I'll show you what we're up to. Let's pop that up here for a second. Now I've heated that up on the stove because that's rainwater, so I don't know, I'm not 100% keen on the whole mains water deal, but depends where you are, how clean your mains water is. I just don't know. But anyway, so I've gone with boiling rainwater, so it's get yourself organised. Over here, from yesterday, we've got some honeycomb. So this is all the shrapnel from our extraction yesterday. This is all the honeycomb that had, all the comb that had honey all through it, all their stores. And I like to give it back to them because you've just turned their life upside down and rinsed all their food out of their mouths. So, but you can't put the honeycomb in the bloody nest naturally with them because it drips and carries on and everybody gets stuck in everything. This is my solution. This is my old uncapping box. It's got a mesh in the bottom. And I've just put the honeycomb in here and crunched it up and let it drip overnight. Do it reasonably quickly because when it's warm out of the hive, it'll run easy, but you leave it for a day or two or, God forbid, a week, then it all crystallises and it doesn't work as good. Anyway, we'll pop this over here. So we'll just pop this out the way. As you can see, we've got a nice bit of honey in here. Very dark, rich honey we've got here. Almost tastes like molasses. My plan is I'm going to put a little bit of honey from out of here into a bucket and tip some water on to mix it up with some of the hot water just to water it down because otherwise the girls have a bit of trouble. You can get a scoop and just put the honey on top of the hive mats if you can be bothered going there every bloody couple of times a day, but I haven't got time for all that. So this is my solution. By the way, when you read all the information about don't ever feed bees honey, the idea is you don't want to feed honey in the open especially because you don't know what blooming diseases are in here. But these girls, it's their honey, so if I'm going to put it in their hive, well, I can't make them any sicker than the honey already was. But this way they get their food back, so run with that. And if you're wondering how you manage to keep your bees from not getting robbed or not bloody sharing it with everybody else in the neighbourhood, you've got to get yourself some in-hive feeders. So these are the ones I use for sugar syrup, as well as for this project. They have a little tunnel that the girls can run down so they don't drown, but they can get what they want to eat. So I'm just going to fill them up with my honey, and then we'll put that back in, of course. Then we're going to pop them in a super, and we're going to put the super on top of the ladies, and we're going to let them go up there, and they can take the honey out of the feeders and put it all back down into their home and fan it and do whatever they need to do to make it back into a food source that they can use. So I hope that makes sense. So just for the purpose of the exercise, we're going to decanter some honey into this little bucket so we can, I don't know, we'll probably get it about half full, and then we'll fill it up about half and half, water and honey. Now don't water all your honey down all at once because it sort of doesn't store as well. If you leave it solid like this, it'll store for millions of years. It'll go candy and do its thing like it normally does. But so just get the amount you want for the time that you're into it. Well, I reckon that's nearly enough for this project. Top on, because this honeycomb's still dripping away a bit. We'll sit that back up there. An old bee lid on the top of there. And then I just throw I've got an old op shop bed sheet. Probably don't steal your wife's bed sheet because she might get the shits up next time you're there rolling around in bed. She'll go, why are the sheets all sticky? So anyway, that just keeps my ladies from getting attracted to that mess. You don't really need the other bees getting used to robbing stuff. Okay, and we've got our hot water. If you're wondering why you don't just stick the honey straight in the hive like this and it goes everywhere, it's because the girls get stuck to it. We're going to put a bit of hot water in here to water it down a bit. I didn't bring a spoon, so... Bloody hell. The spoon that I have got out in the shed is unacceptable, so don't tell anybody that I'm going to steal one out the kitchen. Shh. Look at that. I found something else that might come in handy as well. We're just going to give it a bit of a stir just to loosen everything up a bit. I mean, it's not an exact science, the whole watering down of the honey thing. I just think somewhere close to half-half, or half water, half honey, but then it depends how thick your honey is. This is like super thick honey, so you can go a little bit less on the water if it's the thinner honey. So that's really debatable, but the main thing is you want to give them a kick start because, you know, like I said, you have pretty much torn their life upside down. After spending a whole day of digging them out of a hobbit hole in the ground, you don't want them to die, so you're going to give them the best chance you can. So it's good for them and good for you. So, you know, you're being generous and sort of selfish all at the same time. I'm going to get a little bit of wet paper and stuff in the entrance so as that they don't all escape too much on our journey to the next spot. But here we go. So hopefully our hobbit hole bees will be a success. Oh. There's some stragglers in the hole. We'll come back for them later. So here's the moment of truth, the grand unloading. Or instead of the unveiling, we've got the unloading. So here we go. We've got ourselves a little pallet here to sit them on. Hopefully that we've put them away from all the other girls that we've got just in case they're diseased or they have to have a fight. We don't want that. We don't want our blooming girls robbing the shit out of them while they're trying to work their life back out. So we'll sit them up here, give them a bit of food, come back in a day or two and see how they got on. Oh, I think they're happy. Where are we going? On there, I think, aren't we? All right. Now, of course, it's going to get rather interesting when we lift the lid up to put the super on. They're going to go poo everywhere. So I'm not really sure if that's a technical bee term, poo, but it is what's going to happen. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up my feeders before I open the lid, and then we're going to open the front, and then there will be bees and stuff going everywhere. So try not to get too much honey and shit spilled everywhere, because all you do is attract the ants and crap. Okay, I know you can smell it. Rightio, look at that, perfect. So these little feeders hold about 3 litres. So 3, 6, 9. The bucket's a 10-litre bucket that I didn't have quite full, so look at that, I didn't even have to add up too hard. Yeah, we'll just get them out so they can have a little bit of a run. There we're going to be a mass exodus when we do this. Now, are you on the lid? Yes, you are. They're all on the lid, which I thought they would be. Heck. We don't want the boss up the top. Right. Pop you over there for a second. And we'll put our feeder on the top, which is a little bit heavy now. Oh, God. It's going to pop them across a little bit so the girls can run up, feed on all of them. Don't jolly well leave this feeders boxes in here forever, because next thing you know, you'll come back at the end of summer and there'll be bridge comb and crap going everywhere. So this is very temporary. You might not get to see the next bit, so this is just temporary till they eat their bit of honey and reintegrate themselves. And then I reckon we'll just pop the lid back on. And we'll just clamp the lid down just in case we get a bloody windstorm. That's not what we need, because they're not going to have enough propolis or anything to hook all this together yet. So I reckon job done.